Welcome to Brampton Focus. It was in 1884 that the Brampton Concert Band was formed. 2006, well, that was the Rose Theatre, which now houses the Brampton Orchestra. Today we're talking about music and the musical culture in the city of Brampton. My name is Michael Charbon. Next we meet Mr. Joe Ferrari. He is the voice of the Rose Orchestra. And Mr. David Harmsworth, who is with the Jazz Mechanics and the Brampton Concert Band. Next, right here on Brampton Focus. And welcome to Brampton Focus. You know, it's a wonderful day when you can talk about music and when you can talk about the arts. I'm joined by two gentlemen who are absolute pillars in our community when it comes to music. Right beside me is Mr. Joe Ferrari. Mr. Ferrari is the voice of the Rose Orchestra and the Brampton Concert Band. And to my far right is the inimitable David Harmsworth, who's with the Jazz Mechanics. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Brampton Focus. I'm going to go to you first, Mr. Ferrari. You know, the Rose Orchestra has been a pivotal part of the culture of what we have in Brampton. We're talking about music and orchestra. What kind of things would you say that you've accomplished in the last little while with the orchestra to adding to the fiber of what Brampton can appreciate from orchestral music?
Well, we've certainly increased our patrons coming to the orchestra and even our advertisers as well. However, it is a great opportunity for more advertisers and patrons. We normally fill the theater about half full, and we need about another 400 patrons to come out and see what a gem we truly have here in this great city of Brampton.
I was privileged to know Mr. Robert Rains, who was the orchestral director of the former Brampton Symphony Orchestra, and now you've changed, but changed only in namesake, because many of the same beautiful musicians and people who are working with the Rose Orchestra used to be with the symphony. Tell me a little bit about your conductor, who now is in charge and is your spiritual head, if you would say, of the Rose Orchestra.
Well, we actually have two conductors. The majority of the shows are now done by J.P. Gideon. Just a wonderful man. He really knows his work. The musicians love him. And then we also have Richard Honeck, who also comes in to do 2 or 3 concerts as well. They're both doing a great job. Musicians love them, and so do the patrons. I'm
going to go to you now, David. The Jazz Mechanics, I've had an opportunity to hear you play actually live on several occasions, and you are a passionate musician. Where are the Jazz Mechanics now in their repertoire when you're looking at the scope of music in Brampton?
Well, in terms of what we're doing, the Jazz Mechanics were the guest of the Brampton Concert Band last night at a concert at the Rose Theatre. The Mechanics are actually part of the Brampton Concert Band. We're all part of the same organization. It was an offshoot that started in 1979. And we're very much into exploring modern takes on traditional jazz music.
So you guys have been around, the Jazz Mechanics have been around, or the Brampton Concert Band has been around since about the 1800s, late 1800s. You're not that old, I can tell. But the funding, the majority of your funding as of late was from the city of Brampton. Now we had a change in council, and we have the new regime that has come in. And from what I understand, as of 2015, a lot of your funding has been cut in half almost. How is that budgetary hit, if you wish, affected the Jazz Mechanics and the Brampton Concert Band?
Well, it's a pretty significant hit. For quite a number of years, the band has been funded fully by the city of Brampton, in that we are the community band. We're the band that appears at all the local ceremonies, Remembrance Day, inaugurals, just about anything. So through a heritage grant in the most recent years, we were funded quite nicely. However, recently, that's changed. The new focus has changed, and they're now on the community grant program, which is nowhere near adequate enough to support the funding of the band. Through our good bookkeeping, we've managed to get through 1 year with that very much reduced funding, but it does look pretty bleak for the future in terms of that, unless we can really beef up our audience at the Rose Theatre. We've already had to cut the youth band program, which is unfortunate. It's something that we just got started. It was rolling along very nicely, and we weren't able to renegotiate a contract with the director to go into the future.
Studies have proven that a community that embraces music, both live music, education music, and youth involved in music, is a flourishing community. That music adds a fiber of respect, discipline, learning, fellowship, a community. All those things are so important. That's something which the Rose Theatre, as a beautiful location, sets out for the people of Brampton. How important, if you can express, how important are each of your organizations, in your belief, to contribute to the fabric of both art and social interaction in the city of Brampton? You can answer both at the same time.
I can address that because I'm not only a big part of the Brampton Concert Band organization, but I'm also a member of the Rose Orchestra.
Right.
And what I can tell you is that there's nothing like the feeling of sitting on that stage with the acoustics of that beautiful theater and contributing to everybody's life through an artistic natured thing. And it's just it's a wonderful thing to be able to do, and it's such an important thing to the community. A lot of communities do not have the quality of arts groups that we have here in Brampton. We're very, very lucky. We operate on a very high level.
How many people are in the Brampton Concert Band?
Brampton Concert Band is 40. The Jazz Mechanics are another 20.
Wow, and in the symphony?
We're about 50.
So you look at that many people, what a feeling it is. I've had the pleasure on numerous occasions to hear you play for sure, David, but hear the symphony on several other occasions. The acoustics are exceptional in the Rose, very unique.
Yes, they are. If I can talk back now about the Rose Buds, we have a youth orchestra as well, and it's also a performing band, and at times they play with the orchestra as well, and they are up and coming. A lot of the
so that's a youth injection. The Rosebuds are the young folks with the symphony.
Correct.
Right.
And actually, what happens is, as they progress and get better, they actually move into the Rose Orchestra as well. We already have a few that are actually moved in from the Rosebuds.
And just the ability to experience music. I mean, with jazz, there's a lot more ability to use self-expression in jazz. I mean, where symphony is a little more rigid. It must be great to see some young jazz artists come into your fold and to be able to grow within the concert band.
Yeah, it sure is. We're lucky to have a lot of great music programs in the area, and we do see a lot of new people, a lot of young people that a lot of them don't come straight out of high school, but we're finding that after they've gone to university, they've not been able to play their instrument as much as they might like, and we're finding that music teachers are coming back in after they've settled into their new jobs, after they've been through university in the music program, and they just want that outlet again to play, and they're back.
We're talking about music. We're talking to the Brampton Concert Band, the Rose Orchestra, and of course the Jazz Mechanics. My name's Michael A. Charbon. You're watching Brampton Focus. When we come back, drill down a little bit more and talk about what's up and coming in this concert season, which starts actually in October, and we'll be back with lots more and lots more music with Brampton Focus right after this. Welcome back to Brampton Focus. What a wonderful day it is. Segment number 2 to talk about music. Joined by, right beside me, Mr. Joe Ferrari from the Rose Orchestra. And in the far right, Mr. David Harmsworth, who's with the Brampton Concert Band and, of course, the Jazz Mechanics. I'm going to go to you first, David. When you talk about history, there's not many bands or organizations that you can say that have been around since 1884. That's how long the concert band has been how should I say, in tune. And you look at the Jazz Mechanics, 1979. And that's a huge history. What a compliment to the city of Brampton to have musical organizations around for such a long time. That's huge.
Yeah, it is, and it makes a person very proud to be involved in an organization like that has so much history. The concert band started in 1884 as the Brampton Mechanics Band. And what a mechanics band was at that time was, like we see in Britain, there's been some movies made about the colliery bands or the mining town bands. This was a mechanics band, and the mechanics were the mechanics of the Haggart Foundry. And we certainly in Brampton know the Haggart name. And they began this band in 1884 as something to do in their spare time. And it just built over the years and evolved into the Brampton Concert Band.
And what's your position in the concert band?
I've been the president of the Brampton Concert Band for
And
quite
you
some
play?
time. I'm a trumpet player.
That you are.
Yeah.
And I've seen you in a couple of shows. So it's got to be great to have that kind of tradition. I mean, how do we promote that? How do we tell more people about that? I don't know how many people in Brampton really know that your band's been around. Not you personally. I mean, you look, 1884 for God, David.
Yeah. Well, it's great. Today is a great way to do that. To get people to know that there's great arts community here in Brampton, and the band is part of it, as the Rose Orchestra is, and we have great shows. When you add it up, there's a lot of nights you can go out and see entertainment in Brampton with some of the organizations, along with the Brampton Music Theatre. Very high quality entertainment, and we're all putting on productions 5, 6, 7 a piece per year in their series. So that really adds up to a lot of nights you can spend right in Brampton at the Rose Theatre and see some great high quality entertainment.
What a compliment to the city of Brampton. 2006, when the Rose Theatre was created. I mean, Joe, from your standpoint, I mean, it's almost your fifth season or
Yes,
sixth season that you guys have been around. What a compliment to have such a large orchestral organization playing in Brampton. How have you seen the taste of Bramptonians' music changed?
Well, I've seen it that there's many patrons that enjoy and want classical music. However, there's up and coming younger individuals that like the classicals, but they also want to hear something a little fresh as well, and that's what we're trying to do.
I think some of the nights that you've had have injected new music. It's not all Bach and Beethoven, although that's important.
Absolutely.
But bringing in the nuances of some of the new influences in that. That must be also great for you, David. I mean, when you talk about jazz, there's a lot of spontaneity that goes in the creation of jazz. You still kind of have a simple framework that you all address. When you talk about the jazz mechanics, do you play a lot of music which is spur of the moment, if one would say, or improvisational, or do you still stay to some traditional jazz tunes?
Most of the tunes are traditional. There are some original compositions that we do, but for the most part, it's a jazz orchestra, really. The Mechanics is an 18-piece band, so it's a very structured actually musically. The arrangements are very, very detailed, and there's a lot of improvisation that happens through those pieces of music, but they're all quite structured, basically.
The advent of the music business has changed tremendously. It used to be before that it was producing a record, having it distributed, and having people buy it. That was the thing that was a motor to make music go. Now it's gone all back and around, whereas now it's all about attending a concert, attending your favorite contemporary artist. This is actually something which has been a positive effect to folks like you who do play live music. How difficult is it to fill the Rose Theatre now with your good music? I mean, are we seeing a continued growth? Is this a step forward for us here in Brampton?
Well, I find that every year we have increased our patrons slowly, but we have. However, it's just getting the word out, having patrons and individuals in the city of Brampton and surrounding areas realize what a gem we truly have here.
And what about you, David?
Yeah, it's the same thing. We're slowly trying to build the audience. The Rose Theatre is a pretty big venue for a local community group. So what we've done with the Brampton Music Theatre, the Concert Band, the Mechanics, and the Rose Orchestra is we've tried to do as much cross promotion as we can. We know that those three groups are very similar in their thought of how music should be presented and very professional, and we just work hard together to do as much as we can for each other and try and build this bigger audience of the three groups, and it's working, but it is a slow process.
To be able to play live, you have to pay license fees for your music. How difficult is it now to acquire that? Has it gone up? Because now composers and sheet music, etc., is becoming a little more dear as our young youth, the millennials of this world, seem to believe that everything's for free, but still it happens. You guys got to pay for you. Is that less of a barrier, or is it about the same?
It's not that complicated, and it's not a big barrier really at all. It's just part of the process, and you know, we appreciate the people that do compose this music. A lot of them are people that we know when we play original music, so we know who they are, and they know who we are, and it's good to make sure that they get taken care of as well.
Do you think that concert bands and symphony orchestras, do you think there's enough representation in our current day music? In the 70s, you saw many bands which incorporated symphonic music and wind instruments in the modern music. Not as much as of late. Do you think it's time to turn that tide again?
Yeah, and I think we can see it happening. You know, there's nothing like live music. There's nothing like acoustic music and full orchestrations. And if it can be afforded, there are a lot of artists now that are going back to that and hiring bigger orchestras. The idea of the sampled sounds that we had in the 70s and 80s and 90s, they're not as prevalent as they used to be. There's a lot more acoustic music happening now. And
that's what we want to do. We want to encourage you to go to the Rose Theatre and to see our friends at the Jazz Mechanics. When we return, we'll drill down a little bit more and talk about some of the youth organizations. They're called the Rosebuds, and they are the youth. They are the next element that is going to come in our music history. My name is Michael A. Charbon. You're watching Brampton Focus, and today the focus is on music. Come right back. Welcome back to Brampton Focus. We're talking about music. We've got two folks here right beside me, Mr. Joe Ferrari from the Rose Orchestra and Mr. David Harmsworth from the Brampton Concert Band and the wonderful Jazz Mechanics. You know, we talked in the first two segments about the fabric of the community being enriched by involving music. Having a facility like the Rose Theatre, a concert band, a symphony, a jazz group, all these different layers. It adds to our community. If you take your kids or you go yourself or you go together as a family, you begin to appreciate music, and there's nothing more than spawning creativity. You, David, recently you did a presentation which was a 50s radio show on stage. So it wasn't just music. There was so much more that was involved in that production.
Yeah, it was really quite an experience. We had taken a standard radio play and put music to it. Our orchestra, or our band conductor, Mr. Vince Gassi, wrote all the music to go with this. So there was sound effects and background music and all sorts of things through this mystery play. And we had it live on stage with the announcer and with the actual person who read the play and background singers when they did their commercial breaks. Wow. All live on stage. And it was a little nerve-wracking because we'd never done anything like that before. It was very complicated timing-wise, but it went off wonderful, and it was really appreciated by the audience we had at the Rose Theatre.
I can say, David, I saw you playing Les Miserables as well. That's another event that took place, and to see the music and the level of professionalism, and that it's really wonderful. It's quite something. If you haven't experienced either of these orchestra, the Rose Theatre or the Rose Orchestra, I should say, or the concert band, you really should. Upcoming events, I'll go right to you, Joe. There's things that are coming up. I mean, the orchestra is going to start ramping up again in October. You've got Correct. A couple more things. Give us a little bit of a précis about what's up and coming for us.
Sure, Michael. We have two more concerts. We have March 26th coming up, and then the last one will be April 30th. The April 30th will also have the Rosebuds. Once again, that's the youth orchestra, and when they come out, people really enjoy it. You know, they enjoy seeing how they're up and coming, how they're progressing as each concert goes through, and then usually what happens is in the next year they see them actually now with the Rose Orchestra.
Yeah, you're a good-looking man, Joe, but you're called the Voice. Why are you called the Voice? You look in the program, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Ferrari, he is the Voice. Why are you the Voice?
Because I do the announcement. I do the announcement for everyone, yeah.
David, I'll talk to you now. There's an event coming up with the Jazz Mechanics that we want to draw some attention to.
Yeah, this one's actually the concert band.
Right.
Jazz Mechanics were involved in the recent one, but we're doing a concert on April 24th. It's a Sunday afternoon matinee. May in the Rose Theatre, and it's called Picture This. And the idea of this concert is that we explore all kinds of musical works that were inspired by works of art. So we're bringing the visual and the audio thing all together with that, and picking some music that will be very interesting, and people may not know that that particular composer was inspired by a piece of art when they composed the music.
See, that's an element of the concert band that is so important. How many times are you able to experience an afternoon with creativity and music and things that will spur another thought in your mind? I think it's so important. When you see the youth come, because we've experienced that together. I've seen young people come to your events, and you see them smile, and you get that little twinkle where they come afterwards and they go in the orchestra pit and they ask you about your instrument, and everybody's so very accommodating. I mean, it shows that there is still great hope for creativity in this town.
Yeah, that's one of the great things when you're playing with the music theater, and we're not on stage, we're down underneath the stage in the orchestra pit. And that's kind of one of the greatest things is, especially in the intermissions, the kids come up and they can see over the edge of the orchestra pit down into it, and they can then put, visual to what they've heard for the first half of the concert, and they're always smiling, and they're always very excited to see what's happening down in the orchestra pit. I'm
always amazed. I can remember when Mr. Robert Raines, the former or the late Robert Raines with the Brampton Symphony, they were trying to get money together to buy a beautiful piano, and there's so many things that we could do to help. Is there something, David, first of all, from Jazz Mechanics or a Brampton Concert Band? Is there something that you guys need that we can potentially get our community to rally behind? Is there in it? He's looking at me. Yes, we need everything. No, but I mean, is there one particular instrument or something that would be on the objective to acquire for the concert band or the Jazz Mechanics?
Not a specific instrument. We're very lucky at the Rose Theatre. When the Rose Theatre was built, there was a lot of time and money spent in regards to instruments. So the percussion instruments that we all need for both the orchestra and for the concert band are already there, which is wonderful, and the Steinway piano. Yeah. So it's just come out and see us. Perfect. Come out and experience what we're doing. I think you'd be surprised. It's a great night out. Everybody seems to enjoy what we're doing.
So Joe, shameless plug for the Rose Orchestra.
Well, it's a great value. Remember the Rose Orchestra or the Rose Theatre, it's free parking underneath. You can still be home by 11 o'clock and have a great evening out. You can have dinner and theater, and it will cost you a lot less than going to any of the big cities to see great music.
Joe Ferrari, he is the voice of the Rose Theatre. David Harmsworth, shameless plug, under a minute for Jazz Mechanics, the concert band.
Just come out and see us.
Not shameless.
Not just in the Rose Theatre. We'll be out in the park all summer playing concerts in Gage Park in the band shell, as will the Rose Orchestra and lots of other local community performers. So it's a great night. Thursday nights in the park, 7 to 9. Come on out.
And how wonderful is that? We encourage you to join these folks. David Harmsworth, thank you very much, from the Brampton Concert Band and the Jazz Mechanics. We encourage you, the constituents of Brampton, to take a look at these folks. Buy a ticket, go and see the concert band, and definitely see them under the, what was it, the gazebo there at Gage Park?
Yeah, the band's, it's
the band shell.
It's a bandstand. Some people call it a gazebo, some a band shell. It's a bandstand. It actually was built in 1903.
The gazebo has to have a hot tub, doesn't it, David?
It does not. Yeah, a gazebo would have to have a hot tub. This is a bandstand built for playing on in 1903.
The Rose Orchestra and the Jazz Mechanics and the Brampton Concert Band. We encourage you to take in a little bit of music culture here in Brampton. My name is Michael A. Charbon. On behalf of Brampton Focus, we thank you for watching, and we encourage you to invest in the creativity that is in your town, and particularly with these two music properties. Thanks for watching. Look forward to talking to you again soon.